After the 11 o'clock Mass, I get together with the youth for Q&A sessions, and last Sunday I was asked the following. How do we find the balance between following God's laws and making sure we do not become like the Pharisees? The moment I heard it, I knew that the question was dead on with the message of today's Gospel. In today's Gospel, we hear about the Pharisees complaining to Jesus that his disciples did not follow the tradition of their elders. Jesus answers them in his usual way. He tells them, "You hypocrites, you honor God with your lips, but not with your hearts." Seriously, you got to love Jesus. His political correctness is equal only to my Texan accent. But let me give you a little background on the Pharisees that might help us understand Jesus' reaction. After the 70 years of exile in Babylon, Israel had a serious identity crisis. How could the chosen people be kicked out of the Promised Land? The Pharisees concluded that it was punishment for not following God's law. After this realization, they took strict measures to make sure that it would not happen again, and proceeded to build a hedge around the law to guard against any possible violation, either by ignorance or by accident. That is, they created rules stricter than those of the Torah to build a second wall protecting the first. The idea sounded good in principle, but the problem is that the Pharisees became so obsessed with following their new laws that they forgot God's and the reason why it was there. They forgot the essential point that laws are not a goal in themselves, but the means to reach it. They forgot that laws are not the destination, but the road. They became so obsessed about the how and the when that they forgot about the what and the why. In short, they lost their sense of mission. And I am afraid that, more often than not, so have we. Whenever we come to Mass to avoid mortal sin, rather than to rejoice in God, we have lost our sense of mission. Whenever we measure the success of our ministries by the amount of money we raise, rather than by the number of people we help, we have lost our sense of mission. Whenever we feel that a sermon was good because it made us laugh, rather than because it made us think, or whenever we think that being confirmed is the peak of our church life, rather than its beginning, or whenever we worry so much about God's law that we stop living it, we have lost our sense of mission. God's law is a law of love and mercy, and the church's precepts are not to protect us from it, but to guide us to it. We indeed should pay attention to raising money for our ministries, getting confirmed, and enjoying a sermon. But we should never allow ourselves to think that those are reasons by themselves. We should never allow ourselves to think that we have any goal other than to receive and share God's love, than to receive and share God's mercy. And funny as it sounds, not losing sight of the goal is what will keep us sharing in the sacraments, building up our ministries, and listening to what the Church tells us. So then, back to the question. How do we find the balance? The balance is in the mission. Lose the mission, and you lose the balance. During Mass, we deacons have the privilege to lead people into what I call the second part of the Mass. That larger part that happens when we leave the church. That larger part where the mission takes place. Those last words that Deacon says are called the words of dismissal, because they are a sending out, a sending on a mission. Go and announce the gospel. Go, glorifying the Lord. In some 30 minutes from now, when you hear me say, go, know that the church is sending you on a mission to share what you have received, to share the one you have received. And the one you have received is love, and mercy is His name.